Okay. All right, cultists, welcome to a very special episode of the it's a cult meeting, but it's not really a cult meeting. Josh and I both have our robes are on and stuff like that, and I have a it's not wine. It looks like a nice oaky Chardonnay, but it's not. It's actually Michelob Ultra that I poured into a wine glass. Because I feel like
uh,
what we're gonna dive into, it's gonna be different. It's the main thing is Nathan isn't here. He's on vacation, so he left
he's on
us in
vacation, a
charge.
well-deserved vacation, but he did
Yeah.
also leave us in charge. So I don't know how much of a vacation it will be for him thinking about that decision, but we'll try to make the best of it and make him proud. So
We will try, but I think he's gonna come back and the whole thing's gonna be on fire. And just
yeah. Well, I
yeah,
think when
one
he
of us
did
is missing a limb.
initially, announce the vacation, I believe you did say it's gonna be like coming to that episode of Community when he comes back and everything's on fire.
Yeah, yeah. Because he's our audio technician. He does a lot, and he does deserve this nice vacation. But I don't know where he is. I think he's maybe on the Cayman Islands. He probably has like a island somewhere.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
it's where he stashes all of the Vox Crow money. All
That's
the
exactly what he does. He's just lying on a whole pile of just a one pile of loonies.
oh yeah, Scrooge McDuck style.
Yeah, yeah, just but it's like a it's in the very early beginnings of his company, and I feel like it's going to be a very successful company, but going into like building yourself up, you have like no money, so I feel it's like
Mm.
just like five loonies, and he's just diving into it.
yeah, just
But
goes. He just wants to go get his feet wet, just like rolling the jeans up to the knees and just like touching
yeah,
the coins with his toes. Like, oh
with his
yeah,
toe.
that's the
Yeah,
it's the beginnings.
yeah,
So what we're gonna get into? This was something you had thought of a while ago, sort of conceptually in school. I remember you
yeah.
talking about it. I was very excited about it.
Well, I beginning off, I always had this idea for a podcast where I would do like a deep dive into different reality TV shows. I have like it's like a digital corkboard of like what I think the first episode's gonna be. It's gonna be Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Am I gonna start off with that juggernaut of a series? I don't think so. So today I am wearing like this moo like fleece thing that I got for Christmas, and it's comfy. I want to invoke the vibes of like sitting down and having like your glass of like whatever and like chatting with your BFF and like being like, did you see what happened last night? Oh my god, that was so messy. Like that sort of deal. Like so I asked Josh to put on a robe and stuff like that.
Oh,
He has
you
his
barely had to ask. I was all ready for it. I'm so
mm,
into this idea
mm,
because
yeah.
I hadn't watched reality TV really on my own accord since like Flavor of Love. Since then,
I
I've seen
remember
things.
that.
I've seen crazy shit in between now and then, but watching it with like people I was with and stuff, it was never anything that I sat down to watch myself. So it's like, well,
Yeah.
except other than Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race and
Yeah. I
other
think
iterations, yes, I've watched that, but
yeah.
it has its own formula, so you get used to it. So you're not really surprised anymore. It's more just about the looks and the other
Yeah.
stuff, the
It's
personalities and whatnot. So it's its own thing if you just watch that.
mhm.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
this is me coming back to reality TV after a very long hiatus, but with a few nuggets of strangeness that I came across, like of things that only lasted one season. I still have that shit burned into my brain between
Yeah.
now and then.
Yeah, it's I not necessarily grew up watching reality TV, but it was always on in my house. Like I remember watching Les Stroud's like he tries to survive in the wilderness and that sort of deal. There's like Mancatcher and Manhunter on the
I remember
OLN
that. Yeah,
network. Yeah. I
yeah.
also
That
remember
was
watching
History Channel's like weird initial turn of like getting weirder
well,
shit,
it was
and then that.
only I think it was like history, but there used to be this network on like Canadian cable called like the Outdoor Living
Oh
Network. I think it was
yeah, it
called
was
like
like
OLN.
OLN or what? Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
when I used to watch like Departures, which is a great show if you want to watch like these two like dopey Canadians in their camera guy travel to these most beautiful locations. Um and yeah, it's and cinematography it's great, but that's like a whole other like travel note. Like I used to always watch like our version of MTV, which was like
Oh
Much
yeah,
Music at night.
so
I
much
used to
music.
I know times when I couldn't sleep like as a preteen and teenager, I would always watch like Much Music at night. And I would watch like I would see like an episode of the Jersey Shore or the Real Life or anything that like I also used to watch Pimp My Ride and like all this like crazy reality TV shows, and I think it just had like a moment in my heart where like I just grew to love them, and I grew to love the messiness that comes from it. So, and it just sort of like pops into like I watch my TLC is like a constant in my house. It's the Learning Network,
The learning
the
channel.
Learning
Yeah,
Channel. It's I
yeah.
don't learn anything else
Uh,
besides that the Duggars suck.
yes.
Well, most of the Duggars. I'm not talking about those poor victims in the
The
Duggar
ones that
family.
escaped. Yeah,
The ones that escaped, or like My 600 Pound Life, which is just like a complete like train wreck. I used to
yeah,
watch like Intervention. There's like so many reality TV shows I can list off like the top of my
yeah.
head that I've watched.
TLC. When I think TLC, I remember the one Trading Spaces, where they would have like a
Yes,
weird like home decorator come in and fuck their room up for them for like $1,000,
and
or
it
fuck up their
was
neighbor's room for $1,000. Yeah.
and it was like set in like the like mid like early 2000s, so you know it was like
Oh yeah,
cheetah
this is a
print,
post
that
9/11
brown,
world. Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that like millennial brown that people
Yeah.
talk about and all that stuff. So also like it's I love it because like it has like that escapism for me, because like if I'm having like a stressful day, I'm like, at least I'm not on, you know, the Ultimatum, or at least I'm not on
Yeah.
this. It's I've also like both Josh and I are like we say it all the time in the podcast, like we're both TV production graduates. I was lucky enough to, when I was working in Belleville, Ontario, that the Amazing Race Canada was like rolled in, and I was able to work with them for like 3 days as a production assistant, and I got to see like a glimpse of behind the scenes, and it's absolutely crazy because like you have like all these producers, like the producers are like super like they're running around. They're like, okay, I need a PA to do this, and this. And it's absolutely a crazy mindset because like there's cameras on like these contestants for like most a lot of the times, but then when they're off camera, it's completely different. Like just like the constant like asking them questions, asking them like, how do you feel about this, what do you feel about your components and stuff like that, do you think you're better than your components, blah 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 blah. And then like they go off to like the next person, and it seems personal, but it's also impersonal at the same time. So
Oh, it's like it's the physical version of what all product has to be now. It's like how can we get people to input their information into this? It's just
yeah,
they're just that person. They're the robot on the other side of an app that's like, but give me all your stuff.
yeah, it's like, and
It's
then
that like sort of action.
yeah, because like you get to know like you know almost everything about these people, and then you could switch off the TV and you wouldn't actually still know that person. You know a whole lot about them. They don't know jack shit about you. And so you have like that human like parasocial connection, but then at the end of the day, they don't know you. You don't really know them. And also, I think it also comes from like coming from like behind the camera too. Like your relationships with another person is completely different off camera, which I think we could definitely
Mm.
see in what we're covering today. So
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this show, as we'll get into, I found was not at all what I was expecting it to be, and then also in certain ways, both in the way they edited it, and then both in the way they
Hmm.
chose to leave certain things out, which I know also sounds like editing, but I guess I mean the way they pieced together what they did keep and then what they chose to leave out, but then let them talk about, because they
Yeah.
seem to talk about a lot of things that aren't filmed. Whereas I'm used to kind of a big brotherness where it's like someone goes, "Oh, I didn't fuck that person," and then
It
immediately
just
cut
cuts
over
to like
to
the
going
camera.
womp
Yeah.
womp and them fucking, and it's like they didn't do that in this show, but they did still have some air of that. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it and break it down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very it's a show put on. It's like the ultimatum. Is it marry me or break up?
Something like that. I know. Yeah. Every time I
Yeah.
went to look it up, I got like a longer and longer title. It was like the ultimatum.
Yeah.
It was ultimatum. The ultimatum. The ultimatum. Marry me or leave me. The ultimatum. Marry me or leave me. Presented by Nick Lachey and his wife.
Yeah. It's it's a very going into it. It's a shitty. Okay, trash rat is gone.
Sorry, I was just refilling my drink. I
Oh,
could hear
what are you
you the whole
drinking?
time. What?
What are you drinking?
Propeller Galaxy.
Yeah.
Out of a mug.
Yeah, I'm drinking. It's this. Yeah, like I said, this isn't an Oki Chardonnay. It's Michelob
Michelob.
Ultra. I was doing some blue
Yeah.
collar work yesterday. I was ripping up the carpet from my dirty stairs, the disgusting
Ah,
carpet
there you
that's on
go.
my stairs.
Was there a nice floorboard underneath at least?
There was.
Nice. That's awesome. Are you gonna put a runner on it or just polish that shit down?
I'm just gonna polish it.
Sick.
It's a nice and I'm trying to think of put like something for backsplash. Anyways, beyond the point. It's it's what we have is oh shit, what the fuck did I do? Sorry folks. This is like I said, Nathan is the guy
Yeah,
that
there's
really
gonna be some hiccups.
there's gonna be a lot of hiccups. So going on from this is we have like this concept, I guess, brought on by Netflix. Okay. So we have like the ultimatum. um it's you have it with six couples, each one presenting their partner with a ultimatum where it's just like, if you don't marry me, if you don't propose to me by the end of this show, we're breaking up, which is extremely toxic because
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think about this concept?
Oh, agreed. I'll let you fill everybody in, but yeah, the if you're offering somebody an ultimatum, you might as well just break up. You're
I
like,
find Yeah, so in preparation I did listen to a podcast, um which I can't remember off the top of my head. um she's this Australian psychiatrist, and she's just like, ultimatums in themselves can be toxic, but if you're doing like an ultimatum that is, I guess, the betterment of yourself, like say like your partner is an lo- is an alcoholic or in their drugs, and like it's like a situation that presented itself throughout your relationship, and if you're like, listen, if you're not going to help improve not only yourself but also, it takes a lot of out of me helping you through this, like, I think presenting an ultimatum in that might be good, but also there's better ways to do it. Don't just present an ultimatum like right off the bat.
yeah, and there's also extenuating circumstances for those situations that you said that aren't about purely someone's personal goals or satisfaction.
Yeah.
And that's what all of these ultimatums are about. It's just
Yeah.
somebody
No,
going, well,
absolutely. Like
this
these,
is what I want, and
if you're not going to give it to me,
you
then
know,
we're going to break up.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's with, and that's sort of saying as it is, this is such a super toxic show because getting into it, it's like starting off, we meet these six couples. I'll talk about them now. So we have um Alexis and Hunter, Jake and April, Zay and Ray, Madeline and Kobe, Lauren and Nathan, and Shanique and Randall. And okay, before knowing anything about these couples, I want people to take a guess to how long these people have been dating each other. And I'll tell you the longest time these people have been together. Have you guessed? Okay. So these all these people have been dating together. So the longest these like one of these couples have been together is 2.5 years. 2.5 years.
Which is crazy.
So like
I think the
one
oldest
couple
person's 28, right?
yeah,
Yeah, the
the
oldest
oldest person
person's
is
28.
28, and the range is like from like 22 to 28. Now I was 28 last year. Can I get married? Did I want to get married? Well, I didn't have a partner, but if I had a partner, I still don't think I would be able to get married because like also my finances are shit. I still live in my fucking mother's house. I can't have a partner here.
I mean,
Um,
at one point, the point of getting married was to get out of your mother's house. So I don't know. I mean,
have
depends
you
on
have
what
you
school of
seen
thought you're subscribing to.
a recent thing? Nova Scotia has a fucking F in her sense of like livability here. So I
Oh yeah,
feel
it
like
sucks real hard.
I don't think any. I think the best option would be living here with my mother, and that's not gonna fucking happen. So yeah, it is just it's crazy because a lot of these people they're young adults. They're American. I think a lot of them, especially like I think Zay and Ray, a lot of these people have just finished college. And so I think a lot of them be like, okay, I've finished this big step in my life, and now I'm ready for the next step. And just slow it down, man. I don't understand the idea of getting married and having kids right off the bat. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's just
mean,
sort of this cultural thing that seems to happen and perpetuates, and especially for Ray, she's a nurse. And as you
mhm.
said, she just finished college, and she is like, why doesn't Jake want to get married to me? And he's just like, well, I just got out of the army. He was like in the army or navy or
Oh, it
whatever
was
as long
Jake
as
and
she was in.
April.
I'm thinking of the wrong people.
Yeah.
Oh, because oh, right, because of what
Yeah, we'll
happens
get
later.
into it
That's
at the
why.
end, but
Oh, I get into that. Okay.
yeah, but like
Oh, right. No. Yeah, I know who Ray was with. I got lots to say about that, but I'll save it for later. So anyway, I'll
yeah,
stop because I
it's
was.
yeah, and it's just like okay. Now I'll get into the couples. So the first couple we really meet is Alexis and Hunter. Alexis, I feel like no one has ever told her no in her life. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like she's like that mean I feel like she's like that girl who she knows what she wants, and I admire that about these women, and some of them like she knows what she wants in life. But then again, I feel like she is just a bad way going at it.
Yeah, there's a way of knowing what you want in life that isn't inherently selfish. That like
Yeah.
you just are, centered and comfortable with yourself. And she's not comfortable with
And
herself. She's
she
demanding.
wants to be comfortable with her partner.
Oh yeah, that was a very obvious thing that she said,
Yeah.
because she said she makes more money than Hunter, but
Yeah.
also the person she marries has to make more money than her. That was something she specified
A
in the
lot
early
of
episodes.
this a lot of this kind of stems of I don't see it because I'm a queer woman. I'm a lesbian. Um and all my relationships, I will kind of put myself on blast. My longest relationship, 3 months. And that was during the period I was dating men. 3 months, that's it. And then I kind of threw in the towel, but that's like a whole other reason of like all this other stuff. But like, yeah, it's the whole like wanting that commitment and wanting all that. And then like also like wanting someone to be the breadwinner. I feel like it's
Mm,
such a old habit that comes from like the baby boomers, the pre-baby boomers, everything like that. Like, and we're sort of evolving as a society that we're just, I feel, especially now, like fucking the rising prices of food and housing accommodations, stuff like that. I feel like it's like not feasible to have like
yeah.
only one person be the breadwinner. But then again, like you have like, it's just everything now that we want as a society, like it's not feasible because of the rising prices of everything. But I feel like we're sort of
It's
evolving into something.
yeah, it sort of comes with this way of, for years there's been people that split the bill and everything but then never
Hmm.
talk about it, like it's hush hush, like, oh well, it's just let's just pretend that that doesn't happen. And then
Yeah,
everybody that's on the extremes is like, oh, this person pays for this or this person takes care of me. And
yeah,
it all just sort of gets perpetuated for one reason or the other based on different people's perceptions of how their life should be. Meanwhile, the majority, the average is probably that most people split the bill.
yeah. Most people split the bill. Like it's like first date, second date, and then sometimes like you'll have one person pay, then you have the next person pay. It's like always like sort of that. But I
Oh no, I
feel
mean like
like
deep into a relationship. When it's dates, like if I ask someone out on a date, I pay for the whole thing because I asked them out. Like
yeah,
I'm talking about people that are like this deep in this, like these couple years in. It's like you're really still expecting people in this day and age to pay for everything, like, you know,
yeah,
as opposed to being partners and functioning as like a partnership. You know, so it's I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, then we have Hunter, which is so Alexis issued the ultimatum, and Hunter was the one that, he didn't seem like he wanted to get married. I don't remember. So I don't have any issues with Hunter. I think he's a very sweet, nice guy. He's just bland. There's
He's
nothing about him that
super bland. He is the most bland for sure.
he's
I
like
was
milk
really
toast of
excited
a
to see
man.
him get into this, and I was like, wow, yeah, very milk toast. But he was
He
the one that I was just like, that dude's 28. He looks older than me. I thought he was
he
38.
looks like he's 40.
I messaged you sparsely because I wanted to wait to have all these conversations now, but I immediately messaged him. I was like, that dude's fucking 28. What the fuck?
Yeah, like we get like little snippets. Apparently, he likes sci-fi books, which is nice.
Yeah,
And
who
then
was it
like
that he was with? Because he's with
he was
somebody.
with Madeline. So
Oh, and
another
she's just
thing,
like, mm-mm.
yeah. So like another thing about this TV show is like you have like these couples come in, like, okay, we issue these ultimatums, and what they do is they have a week of just people going on different dates with different people. Well, dates as in like they just like hang around the hotel and they just like go on random like sit by the pool, whatever, stuff like and they mingle with these people. And then after a week they have a decision. And so you
Mhm.
have like Nate like just sitting there talking with whoever. He seems like a really nice guy.
Mm.
And there's a moment we'll get into, but like he looks like he's like a nice guy. Milk toast bland.
Yeah,
If white bread had a face, it'd be him.
yeah.
If he'd probably think mayo is too spicy. Anyways, seems like a great guy, and I'm razzing on him a little bit, but he's just there, and I think, yeah. Anyways, I think that's why Alexis really wants to get married to him, because I feel like no one else can really put up with her shit besides Hunter.
Oh, for sure, that is it. Like, I couldn't believe she's like from another reality show. she's
Yeah.
like, it's like her and someone else got like mixed up in like the processing pool of like these like studios, and they like sent them to the wrong reality show. She's from
Yeah.
some other like crazy Love Island or something, which I've never seen, but I assume
Yeah.
she's from some much more raucous reality show.
Yeah.
and, and
Yeah.
and someone
And
else was supposed to be there.
yeah. And you know what? Like she has I feel like she has like that mean girl mentality. Like but I feel like she's like come from like the South, you know, she's whatever, Dallas or whatever. She's like grew up sort of comfortable. She probably was in a sorority. You know,
I'd wager
she's
most of the people in this show grew up comfortable, as we come to see some of their living accommodations and things their families are
yeah.
into.
Yeah, and it's just you know, it's she has work she had work done.
Oh, definitely, yeah. She had work
Yeah.
done, but no one told her how to contour her nose.
No, it's she looks like she still does her makeup like it's like 2016 and
Yeah,
everyone
there's
had
like
like the
she's got the
hard
sharp,
like
the
white
hard
line.
lines. Yeah, she always does that, and I was like, "It's a choice, all right."
Yeah, I mean, you know,
You do
like whatever
you.
makes you feel like great. Like I'm
Yeah.
not knocking like having work done and stuff like that. Like she
Oh
looks
no,
great
yeah, I'm
and
not
stuff like
either,
that, but
but
like it's always like that sort of sense of like these women who like trying to strive for perfection.
mm,
And so I think in their mind is like that perfect like, you know, that perfect life of like marriage, kids. He's the breadwinner and sort of deal.
mhm.
So that's like the vibe. All
Honestly, I
right,
think
so
my only real true problem with her was just that she was a bully while not being able to contour her nose.
yeah,
that, was,
exactly,
that was pretty much it. I was like, why are you the bully? Like, everybody has to work on themselves. You got to work on yourself.
exactly.
But anyway, let's continue. Yes, we have several more couples to meet.
All right, and then so we have like the next couple, Madeline and Colby.
Mm-hmm.
So Madeline, I find first impression she was like very chill. It seems like at first she didn't really want to be there and stuff like that. Every dude was kind of like thirsting after her. Not every dude, but a good portion of guys. They were just like, "Yep, she's hot," and that sort of deal. You know, it looks she was not the one to issue the ultimatum. This is one of the like out of the six couples, this couple and another couple where the men have issued the ultimatum. Um, first impressions, okay, he's very Texan, but like a rich Texan. Like
Oh,
his
the
daddy
most
owns a
rich
ranch.
Texan. The
Like his
most.
daddy is like
Oh,
an
yeah.
oil baron. Yeah, like sort of vibes and stuff like that.
There is. Uh, yeah, I got thoughts about Colby. Yeah. Just,
And
yeah,
throughout
the
this, he is
very.
obsessed, very obsessed with Madeline.
Mm,
Like in this sort of deal, like he wanted to get married to her after what, like
I think
one
they're
and a
2 years
half,
again. 1.5 years. Okay.
one
Yeah.
and a half years.
And it's like he's
And
25, she's 23. Like.
yeah, it's a lot
Bad.
because like I also feel like maybe you know it was always like throughout the thing he was crying because he couldn't be with her. He was crying how much he loved her, and he goes like, "Madeline is the one for me." I'm like, dude, it's also like a lot of these things. It was like, just slow down, man. Like, I feel like he has like a shrine for Madeline. It's insane.
I think it's also easier for somebody in his position, as we come to see like aspects of his life, that he is well off,
Oh
whether or
yeah,
not he worked ever, kind of thing, that to be able to settle down that quickly of like, oh, it's There, we already have a house. It was built like the day I was born for me and my future wife to move into. It's very much that, like, he feel I think he's very comfortable in everything that is his own life, and that's why he's so quick to get married to, honestly, anybody they'd be with after a year,
Yeah.
like, kind of thing.
And it's also like it seems like sort of the fact like because like Madeline has like that pushback that like
Mm,
now like Colby is just gonna be the ones like okay now I want her more because I
yeah.
feel like in that sort of like Alexis ordeal no one's really told him no,
Mm,
but instead of getting really mad about it he gets really into it,
mm.
and it's just like this weird obsession. Good looking dude. He looks like that guy like from Top Gun, you know, like Jake Sarazen from Top Gun. Can't remember the actor's name, but he's like the blonde,
What?
super.
I thought Jake Sarazen was the actor's name. You just pulled out the character's name from Top Gun? Some deep cut shit on me?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know the characters from Top. I liked Days of Thunder more than Top Gun, so I don't know the.
Well, Top
I
Gun
like Top Gun
Maverick. I
Maverick.
should. I
Oh,
should have
I like
been.
Top Gun Maverick even more than Top Gun, so I should know this shit.
Yeah, he's like the blonde one. He goes up against Rooster a lot. He's like that
Oh,
super
Hangman. Oh
hangman,
yeah, yeah,
super
yeah.
chiseled.
I know that guy. Yeah, there's a better movie. He's, or not a better movie, but he's in another movie where he's nicer that I remember him from more.
Also, like I could definitely get into Top Gun. How like one of the most gayest movies ever, and I loved it.
Oh,
I
it
think
so is. Yeah.
Maverick seems a little bit gayer. I don't know.
Um, it, like, in the, like, twink daddy way. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Your thoughts on Madeline and Colby?
My initial thought, because I think this is also something I broke and was like, I have to text about. I got so enraptured by the first episode and meeting all the people.
Mhm.
I was like, nope, Colby, just get out of there. And same way I felt about anybody that was offering the ultimatum. I was like, just get out of there. Just leave. Don't do this. I was like, I will
Yeah.
break in there with SEAL Team 6 and rescue Colby. Just get out of there. Like,
Yeah,
but
you really liked Colby.
I went real hard. I fell for the charm. But then
He does have that Texas charm.
I have some very specific examples of why I didn't last. That we'll talk about
Yeah.
later. But initially, absolutely, yeah, I got completely captured by Colby. I was like, I
Mhm.
get it, but I was like, just get out of there. Same thing I felt about everybody offering the ultimatum. It's like, just leave.
Just
But
yeah.
Madeline, I felt Madeline seemed like, uh, and maybe again, probably just editing, but but also what you said, where everybody wanted to go for her. She seemed the most down to fuck. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's why a lot of people went for her. I was like, she seems the most down to fuck, like, and is openly admitting about, like, yeah, if I was just around so and so, yeah, we'd fuck.
Yeah, like it's also because like she wasn't the one to offer the ultimatum.
Yeah.
So because like a lot of these men, I feel like they're who have been issued the ultimatum, they're just like I don't really, want to get married yet. And this is like the first like week or so. So they're
Mm,
just like here's this chill ass girl who doesn't really want to be here and she's and fuck, so
mm,
why not? All
yeah.
right. Next couple.
All right. Before we do
Shanique
this, I gotta
and
pee.
God
Or
damn it.
actually, you can start. Actually, you can keep going because I can still hear. Whether you just want to have my commentary.
All right. So, cultists, here's the next couple, Shanique and Randall. Shanique, she offered the ultimatum. She prides herself. She finds she's like a very successful. She's um prides in being she wants to be a wife and she wants to have like that nice like wifey roles, with the exception of doing the dishes. Just get a dishwasher. It's fine. And then Randall, I think Randall was the most realistic kind of into this. He's like, he kind of goes with the flow. He's realistic about the financial strains that kind of comes from a wedding. and kids that you can have. Um, Shanique, she's gorgeous. Don't even get me wrong, she's a model, and I feel like there's nothing wrong on wanting the finest things in life. I would love to have like the finest things. I feel like she wants like a very big wedding, all that stuff. She wants to be glamorous, and I love that about her. And I feel she's one of my favorite people going into this. Even though she has issued the ultimatum, and I do acknowledge like very toxic, but she's like she knows what she wants, and I do acknowledge that, and I feel like she wants someone to live this life with her, and she wants to have a partner that also helps with the kids. She has this conversation with Zay, another couple that we're going to be getting into next, but she
Oh
really
yeah.
wants, I like Shanique. I think, you know, she's realistic, and she stands up for herself a lot. And I really like
Yeah,
that about her.
I definitely agree. I think really the biggest slight I can give to anybody in this show, even though we'll kind of be breaking down their psyche,
Mm.
is that they're all young. I don't
Yeah.
ever feel anybody acts out of character for being a 23-year-old or 24-year-old or whatever, like in these situations. Like they all kind of do things I'd expect and do things I've seen myself do or seen other people do when we were in our 20s. And it's like, yeah, I get that. Like there is a weird uh way they captured the reality side of things with this show. And I saw it in reviews even that I read, like as I was kind of like researching the show a bit, that they put them in places that look like you could also be there and stuff. It's like they put them in kind of simple places, simple apartments, and you see them having these conversations, so it kind of comes across a bit more real.
Yeah. And I like Randall for this because like he seems like he loves Shanique very much. And he's very realistic, because he's just like, we can't afford to have this big wedding that she wants. We can't afford to have kids yet. He wants to be financially stable. And that's like, I think, a reason why that's holding him back. So,
Yeah.
and I can completely appreciate it. And yeah, he seemed a little apprehensive, at the very beginning, because you like the first couple episodes, he's like hanging around these other women, but he doesn't seem to really get into it as other people have gotten into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, going into, we have April and Jake. Here, just give me 1 second.
Yes.
Let me
Yeah,
let me
for
just
sure.
this couple, man. It's April.
This was
She issued the ultimatum,
no shit.
and yep, she did. She really, really wants kids.
Mm.
And Jake was in the military. Military have like all this structure and all this stuff. Like, you're doing a lot of like bang, bang, bang. You kind of have like your whole day, your whole thing. You have like this whole set of rules that you have to follow in the military. And I feel like he just wants freedom, either with or without April. But getting into it, like, this guy is he in one of the first couple episodes, he said he hasn't really been disciplined as much, say, as like other kids have. But I feel it doesn't really make him a bad person, like, but I feel like he's definitely not ready, you know. And I feel out of all the couples that I saw, this is the one that's gonna break first.
Yeah, it was definitely the fact that he'd only been out of the military for a very brief time.
Mm-hmm.
I love the pouring sound on the microphone. It actually is like, that's some straight ASMR shit. It's real crispy. But he was the one that, yeah, he'd just gotten out of the military and hadn't had any of this time to have any freedom to go on a trip down south or do any any
Mm-hmm.
small thing. Like, it doesn't seem like he wants like the world. It just seems like he wants some small things. And she is really, really excited to go forward, but she also admittedly and consistently talks about fertility problems. So she
Mm-hmm.
has this pressure on herself that she's putting onto her partner, that's not being dealt with by anybody. So it's,
No, no,
yeah,
it's
it's
definitely
a
like
lot.
you see this in this couple, and we see I think in a lot of couples, like a lot of these issues, instead of going on a TV show like this, as entertaining as it is, can be solved with going to couples therapy.
Mm. Or even just talking about it in general,
Yeah,
admitting things.
yeah.
Like,
And it's
couples
just
therapy is
like,
great, but a lot of times people don't even talk about it at all.
yeah. And, she said, like, right off the bat, she's like, oh, yeah, I'm a crazy bitch. And I'm just like, okay, good to know. And I feel like April's like, she's very quirky. I think, she's quirky. She really wants to get married. It's, I feel like her and Jake have like their personalities. I think they've been dating for like 2 years,
Yeah.
and they're young. And I feel like he's just got out of the military and all that stuff. Like, in reality, it's some people do get married very young. Like, I've known like a handful of people who I went to high school who got married when they were like 21, 22, and they're just babies in the sort of sense. Like,
Yeah.
they're not really fully developed adults yet. And it's just, you know,
Yeah. Oh, I got married at 25. And if there's anything this show reaffirmed, it's that people in their early 20s shouldn't get married.
mm-mm. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, it's a, we'll get into them later, but it's just, this is like a prime example of why this program, I feel, doesn't really work. It doesn't work. And I feel like it just pressures people. It's like this huge, huge pressure. And that's why ultimatums, I feel, ultimatums for like one single reason to benefit one person is not a good thing. And I feel like instead of sending them off into different people, I think they just put them in a big therapy session.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would
Um,
say the show as a train wreck, as a like thing I want to look at because what's going to happen next, it
mhm.
functions in that way and it works in that way. But conceptually, it's pretty light from the beginning about what the rules are. It's
Yeah.
almost really leaning into the social experiment aspect of things and trying
Mhm.
to keep things like loosey goosey so that stuff happens through most of it. uh, there's open bottles of liquor behind people as they're having conversations.
So
Like,
let's also get into this. Not a glass in sight. It's nothing but metal, like metal drinking containers, like what
yeah,
metal wine glasses, metal goblets. I think I wonder why that is. Are they afraid like
probably
the
so they
place
don't
that
have glass to hurt themselves with, because
probably
they're
because like
probably drunk as fuck.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Because when
they
the scenes where, like, and not to skip ahead, but the scenes where people are having conversations in bed, there's always like a open bottle of like Jack Daniels or Patron, so like fucking
mm,
tequila, and then a jar of sour gummies. And I was like, what's the jar of sour gummies for? And I figured it out. They're drinking the liquor straight and eating the sour gummies for a chase. And that's for sure what they're doing, because it's like so many times that we see where people are having conversations and there's just, yeah, a bottle of liquor they're
yeah.
clearly taking swigs from. You see sometimes in
Yeah.
shots that someone has the bottle in their hand. So it's like a
Yeah.
hilariously volatile set they created for them.
Yeah. All right. The next couple is Lauren and Nate. this is the second couple where the men
Mm.
has issued the ultimatum. Jake looks like a psychopath.
Nate, you mean?
Like Nate, sorry.
Yeah, I was like, there is a Jake. I was like, but I think we're on
Well,
Nate. Yeah, and
they
I
they all
agree.
sound the same to me.
Nate does look like a psychopath. I agree. This couple may be the most uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I'm just like, when I was watching, I was like, Lauren, run, run. I
Yeah,
swear to God. Like, you
yeah.
said you're getting
She
it.
seemed
Like,
really
SEAL Team
sweet.
6 for Colby, I'm getting SEAL Team 6 for Lauren.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she seemed really sweet and really
Yeah.
unsure about a lot of stuff. She seemed pretty legit, and yeah, I did feel bad for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she's realistic. She's like, I don't want kids. And Nate is like, I want kids. I want a lot of kids. I want blah 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 blah. And then because she's just like, and she said like she doesn't want a relationship where it's built on sacrifices. Like she doesn't want to give up the happiness of herself and have kids just for Nate. And I feel like Nate, he looks like a man who just wants a mommy wife. Like he wants his partner to take care of the kids and of him. It's just like the vibe that I get from him.
Yeah, he definitely has like great big house with three entrances, uh fridge in the garage type of like white suburban life.
Yeah, and I
But
feel
also
like
he is just unsettling and turns on a dime at one point where it's like, and or a couple times I should say, turns on a dime, and it's like, yeah, there's like obviously producer interference in this kind of like show and stuff like
mhm,
that, and things that they reset. I can talk about times I noticed things like that, and ultimately my opinion of reality shows is that it's kind of similar to wrestling, that
yeah,
there is the stuff that the producers do, there's the stuff that is real and hurts people, and then there's the stuff that nobody planned for. And I
yeah,
think all three of those things happen just in the same way they do with wrestling. It's just a very different medium. And so the way he reacted a couple times, I was like, ooh, this guy doesn't, I feel upset.
yeah, yeah, and that is one thing to acknowledge. Like these are just based like opinions from what I see on screen. Could it
Mm,
be completely different off camera? Yes. Like we don't get the full picture, but this
mm.
is kind of what I get so far. And because we'll get into it, and we don't get a whole lot of Lauren and Nate or well, we do get a lot of Alexis, but like a lot of like
More
Hunter
than
and
I
them.
thought.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just sort of like this is like the understanding that I get. Is he maybe he's more hands on off screen? Is he more whatever? I don't know. I
Mm.
mean, it's what we see up front. So and I think the last couple is Ray and Zay. And
Brainzy.
Ray and Zay. So Ray issued the ultimatum. I Susan Matter like, okay, she probably has a vision board of her life and her dream wedding and everything that she wanted off the bat from the first episode. That changes throughout this season. Um, yeah, she's smart, but and Zay Zay doesn't really look after sort of like he's trying to graduate. He doesn't want to get married because he doesn't feel like he's there yet. But he kind of gives me like he's not ready to take care of his emotions yet.
He's the most immature of the entire cast. Like,
He is.
absolutely.
Yeah. He's not ready. We learned that he had some trauma when he was a young kid, and I get that, um, and stuff like that. And I feel like he's sort of like running away from that. So, and like I feel like I said before, a lot of these issues can be helped with either talking or seeing a therapist.
Oh, for sure.
So, like either as a couple or for their own selves. So that's sort of like episode 1 where we kind of like meet the um the couples, we meet what the whole show is about. Like we see Nick Lachey and his wife. I don't
Which
even
is crazy.
I don't even
And I
remember her
think
name.
I don't remember
Like
her name either, but I was like, it's so weird because all of the people on this show are too young for it to be weird that Nick Lachey is like talking to them about their relationship. But it's like you think about like people our age right now who are watching it and are just like Nick Lachey's talking to them about their relationship. It
yeah,
would be
like Nick
wild.
Lachey fumbled the bag when it came to Jessica Simpson, so I can't really, I'm sure his
Oh,
new
for
wife is
sure.
lovely.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember all of that. Like they had their own show that was them, like the chicken or fish thing. I think
Yeah,
that was like
she's
an
like
early internet meme.
I love
But
that's like another like reality TV show that like I only saw an episode of and it was crazy.
oh, it's wild. But yeah, it's just that weirdness of and I think it's just the weirdness of getting old because when you look back at stuff that like our parents were watching, it's like, oh, the announcer on this is the guy who like voiced a thing
Hmm.
from their favorite cartoon. It's just a cycle that perpetuates, and it's like, oh yeah, that does kind of make sense that Nick Lachey would be on a show like this. But it
It
is like funny that it's lost on the people who are on it, whereas it
yeah.
wouldn't be for people who are older. But
So I never really grew up with Nick Lachey aside from knowing that he was married or was in a relationship with Jessica Simpson.
I think he was
I
in
is
98 Degrees, maybe?
the less known boy band.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
There was like 98 Degrees and a couple other ones that were like the lower tier.
yeah, yeah. All I know is NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
Yeah. Well, I used to
Um,
get the. Do you remember the Disney Adventure magazine? It was like a little like book usually. Yeah, I used to get that like every month, and there'd be comics, and in the back it would be comics like about whoever was popular at the time. They'd be like, "Yo, you want to like be in a superhero comic, but you're the Backstreet Boys?" They'd be like, "Yeah." So it, like at the back, like after like there'd be like a bunch of movie news like
oh my
throughout it, and
god.
that's why I wanted it. And at the back there'd be a bunch of comics which I'd also read. So it'd be like a Pepper Ann comic or whatever other Disney Channel show was on at the time, and then it would be like, oh, it's Backstreet Boys, but they have like a bass like Thunderbirds, and they would like go down and like, and and it's funny. I specifically remember the 98 Degrees one. Theirs was like an underwater bass, and then like Nick Lachey
I
was
would
like at
feel
the
like
front of
with
like
like
a fucking like 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 manta ray shaped submarine that they took
oh
off
my
in front
god.
of. Yeah,
I would feel like 98 degrees, it would be like a lava based um
you think?
layer. You would think. Anyways, so also in this episode, you kind of get like into the dating. So you have like these like last mornings together. So you have like this, I feel like I think the editors did this on purpose where you have like the last morning together. And then you have like Randall and Shanique, they have like this sweet sort of conversation. They're just like, we really do love each other. Like maybe this like experience will bring us together as a couple, or it could help us see what we can, accomplish on our own and stuff like that. And, very emotional and stuff like that. And then it cuts to April and Jake. April's like walking on Jake and like grappling onto him. And it's just like, I feel like that's like a image that April has. Like, she just clings. She's a very
Yeah.
clingy person, and we see that, and it's just like she constantly wants to touch. She constantly wants to be connected to a person. So, and then, we have Alexis and Milk Boy. Um, no hate to Hunter. It's just he's
It's
just
true
there.
though. It is true.
It
He's the
is.
most boring white guy. He was the guy I thought who was too old for the competition. I think he knew he was too old for the competition because, as we've kind of talked about, there's a maturity level. And as the
Mhm.
show goes on, there's also, you see people like activate maturity levels a little bit, like for different things, like not necessarily for the better or like in a
No,
perfect
yeah,
way, but you
it's
see people sort of like go okay and have a realization. He clearly was like, I'm not getting involved in any of this crazy shit because this is going to be a shit show.
yeah. And it's funny cuz like Alexis is like a little like she's a little apprehensive. She doesn't really want to see Hunter go and stuff like that. And why are you doing this? She issued the ultimatum. She, I think, probably wanted them to be on this show. Also, I think she had a boob job, which is fine. I had a boob job. Well, breast
Which
reduction,
one?
but
Who do you think had it?
Alexis, well, because
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
because we could
think
see the
yeah, that
nipples
makes
through
sense.
through the shirt. Either it was super cold
Oh,
or
oh, there's a few times you can see the nipple through the shirt for multiple people.
yeah,
It can be a thing. It depends on what you're wearing, but yeah, again, yeah. I mean, and yeah, as you were saying, nothing wrong with getting some work done. I don't have anything against people wanting to get work done,
sorry, I
but
gotta get some.
if we're gonna get personal about it, uh, plastic surgery creeps me out sometimes. Like elective plastic surgery
Okay,
of like the
sorry.
face
I'm
and
leaving.
stuff like that. That's more what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Does your mom want to say hi?
No, she's off to work.
Oh, okay. I thought she was coming in.
Yeah. It's yeah, with like um e- it's fine. I don't care if people get plastic surgery. It's for what they like and stuff like that. And um what was I going with this?
I think we were talking about it. You brought up that Alexis looks like she had work done, and then I started talking about it, and then we kind of got off the rails.
Yeah, yeah. It's fine. I
Yeah.
don't care if you get like plastic surgery and stuff like that. Like just learn how to contour your nose. If you're gonna contour your nose, at least know how to do it.
All right, but
Anyways,
I think we're at. They're starting to split now,
yeah.
and is what we're at.
Also, like we get like this is like the whole editing process and stuff like that, but like we have like this moment with like Colby and Madeline, Jesus, where he looks like he's like he keeps saying stuff about things that she needs to change, but I don't get a sense of anything that he says himself needs to change in this moment.
Mm.
And
Oh,
he's
well,
just
he's a
like,
perfect little boy.
he is a perfect little boy
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And he's, anyways, and it's just like, he just really wants to be with her. Really does. And I'm like, does he need a kidney? Is he a Black Widow? Or did he take out life insurance on her? Like, slow down, Jesus. And then, after that, no more morning interviews. And this is like getting to the whole structure of like this episode. Like, the first couple episodes are so like information heavy
Oh yeah, they're pretty wild.
that I feel like I should like it's extremely in depth, and like the rest of like the episodes, besides some points, I just have nothing really to say about them.
I
Um,
definitely have some like production notes about a couple things that will be funny. There will be to say, but I
which I would
totally
love
get
to
what you're.
hear. But like,
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying though. That yeah, there's when there was like really extreme lows of just like okay, it's people talking about their feelings, and it's like oh, and then there's an extreme high
yeah,
of like a very dramatic change, and I think we'll obviously that's where you're heading. We're gonna touch base on that. So yeah, let's do it.
yeah, and also it's just like so. And then after like they separate, you have like them having these little dates with everybody, and so we see April. It's she's not really connecting with the boys because she's so baby heavy that she's like, "Oh, kids, kids, kids," and I think a lot of these guys are like, "I'm not sure yet," like
Yeah. Yeah, they're
they're
pretty
like
much all like not sure if they want to get married, and she's just like, "But what about
kids.
like bringing a spawn of our own DNA into
I,
this universe?"
like my parents had me and then they got married. Um, Probably like yeah, we have a kid. We like each other enough. Like, might as well get married. That turned out fine. Divorce.
Yeah, my
Eh,
parents never got married, so I mean, I don't know. Are we both technically bastards? I think we're both bastards.
I think we are. I think we are. Yeah, I technically, by that definition, I am a bastard. So,
Do you
um,
ever watch like Flintstones or Jetsons?
yes.
Because I remember watching an episode of the Jetsons where they find out that they're bastards and they say it. So they find so like George and Jane, yeah, because I remember the theme song Jane, his wife. So George and Jane find out that a con man actually married them, so they weren't legally married. So the two kids, Elroy and what's her Judy, start putting paper bags over their heads. And they're like, "Oh, we can't be seen in public because we're bastards."
Oh my god.
Because they were born out of wedlock. And
But
I'm
then
like,
again, that was
I'm
like probably like made in like the 60s or something.
yeah,
50s or 60s. So
their
it's just like
depiction of the future.
from the
That's
50s
what's
or
so
60s
funny.
standpoint.
Yeah,
So like the
like
the
oh my
morals are
god.
still set in the 50s.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
yeah, but
All
like
right.
anyways, moving on from the point. Like, so we see them and it's just like they're going on dates and stuff like that. Alexis is I feel like out of all these men, Hunter, the person she came in with, is definitely just the guy for her because we always say he's milk toast. I feel like he's like a yes man for Alexis, and I feel like if sh these guys say like no to her, and we see that with Colby because she has like a little moment with Kobe, and she's like, "I like Kobe. I think he's
Yeah.
hot. All this stuff," and I feel like she likes Kobe because like Kobe's like that Texan good boy, that sort of deal. Like
Mm.
he's good
He
looking. He's a
he seems to
cowboy. He's
her
well
he's
off.
yeah, I think he seems to her as a sure thing. And then it's as you said, it's the first time someone said no to her in her life.
And
So
she sticks on it.
it comes up a lot.
It does more than it should. Like, and then you get, um, yeah, it's because first off, when she has this conversation with Kobe, she's just like, I make more than Hunter, even though I feel like I should be taken care of. It's something I feel like I should be married to a guy who's going to be making more than me and all this stuff. And I'm like, girl, this isn't the fucking feudal era. You know, like she wants to be married for, I feel like, for financial stability. And I'm like, is your father marrying you off to a family to secure financial gain, for to secure land or goats or whatever? Like, no. I mean, it's 2020, 2021, 2022, like 2023. We're not at that point. We're not regressing to that yet. So wait a couple hundred years. Maybe we'll go back to like medieval eras. I'm hoping. Anyways, so Colby was like, he doesn't feel that. He's I feel like he wants to take care of his wife, but he also doesn't want someone who's gonna nag him, like I feel like Alexis going to. Alexis, I feel, is like that wife stereotype where she's gonna nag. And I feel like Hunter is like that guy who's just gonna go with be like, yep, okay, okay, whatever you say, dear. So yeah. And then we get like with Madeline, she's either she goes on a date with Zay, and like Zay is like kind of like sexually aggressive. We get that. He's like,
Zay is sexually aggressive all the time.
he is, and we see that with him and this person he's gonna pick, which we'll get into. So, or too nerdy, because she goes on like a little date with Hunter, and Hunter's like, yeah, I got a wild side. And she's like, oh yeah, yeah, what's your wild side? And he goes like, I like sci-fi books. And I'm like, she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, honestly, like that guy's version of spicy is watching a rated R movie, probably. So like, and then she goes on a date with Randall, which I give these guys like little like nicknames and stuff like that. So I call him Randy. And Randy is chill off the bat. He's chill. And he's super realistic. He's like a little apprehensive from what they show. And I said like Randy is like the kind of the hot guy who's in like your psych eval class, who is like super chill and stuff like that, but you also know who's like super smart. So if you get paired up with him, it's like you're like, oh, he's hot, but he's also smart.
Mhm.
So, and then we get ass shot, and then Laura.
Yeah, I was gonna say many ass shots
Ooh.
throughout. Well, I shouldn't say throughout. In the first couple episodes, because there's sort of a weird, like there's a air of a certain type of reality show for the first 3 episodes, and then it's a very different show for like several episodes, and then there's like the last two.
Yeah. Like, and then you get like the scene with like herself and Kobe where Laura thinks like Kobe's hot. I do get that. He has like the straight teeth, the Texas charm, and stuff like that.
I fell for
Yeah,
it.
you fell for it. And then you have like this conversation with like Laura and Kobe, and she's just like, I'm not ready for kids yet, man. Like, I don't want kids. Like, she's young. She's just been dating like Nate for like a year or so. And like Kobe's like, yeah, yeah, I get that. And he goes like, but I feel like I could be there to help her see it through. And I'm like, I made a note where she's just like, she needs to run from this hotel.
Yeah.
She needs to run. And then I also said something Chelsea, like Kobe's like, yeah, like we'll wait to have kids, but like this proves my theory later on. But like as soon as Kobe is like gets her wedded, it's like Colby's flushing down the birth control and putting holes in the condom as soon as possible. Like he wants to get that person. Like it's just
Some straight nunnery.
yeah. And then we go with Ray, and like Ray and Jake, they just hit it off. Like, and then you go with like Jake saying like, I came here because like I was issued an ultimatum. Like I don't feel like I'm ready to get ready to marry to April, but I might be ready to get married to someone else. And yeah,
And he says it so much that he's
he
like, I got dragged
does.
here, I got forced here, whatever. It's such a constant like thing that is
He's
the
like,
only thing he says.
it's it's weird because like you see like it's like this huge connection between himself and Ray, and it's just like, you know, and then it's just like him and Ray together. It's just like he's like, oh, I'm so comfortable, I'm so open. She's hitting all the right boxes and all this stuff, and I'm like, and I feel like we'll get into it, like, because like in the next episode, you know, it's we get into this like the end tale of the week. You know, they're getting, you know, still dating around and still like connecting with the different contestants and stuff like that. And then Jake is like really into Ray and stuff. But also, Alexis will not leave Colby alone. And we see this moment where in the previous episode where they break off, they have like, you know, an a night in like the hotel bar and stuff, like they have like special like icebreakers and stuff like that. And you know, Kobe looks like he's wearing the stupid like cowboy hat.
which Madeline, who he showed up with, just chastises him for, and she shits on him a lot, which is pretty funny. Like she's like every time it cuts to like a fucking talking head of Madeline, she's just
Yeah.
like, ugh, yeah, ugh, this thing he does, ugh.
Yeah.
Like what the
Oh,
fuck? Why are you with him then?
yeah, and then like they play like a drinking game. Like if you like either tell the truth or drink.
Mm.
So like some guys are like, yeah, like I like Madly and all this stuff, and like Kobe looks like he could kill a man. And then like Hunter, throughout this whole like tail end, he looks like he has like 1,000 yard stare. And it's just it's so uncomfortable. Like these dates are very uncomfortable.
Well, this especially, as you said, the like truth or dare thing that they did, because it it doesn't feel like they even got very far into it, especially from
No,
the editing and stuff. Like, there's only a few questions we see. We don't see that many reactions. It's just like,
no.
has so and so ever had sex with like more than one person at a time, or more than one person in one day? I think is how they put
Yeah,
it to like
or
keep it light
if
or whatever.
yeah, or someone like if you ever had sex with a hat on, they all look at
Oh, which
Colby.
they got Colby with. Of course, he wore the fucking cowboy hat.
Yeah. But yeah, like, and then that night, like, Alexis gets rejected because Kobe is like, listen, like, I feel like I don't see you as wife material for myself. And she's just doesn't like it. And they have like this moment, like the next morning, and it's just like, she's still upset about it. And we see this the next morning because they're having like probably like brunch drinks and stuff like that. And they're just like, she's like, okay, I want you to tell me why you don't see me as this. And I'm like, girl, he told you. He told you. And then you have like, he's like, okay, great. Like, I just, I don't, I'm not attracted to you. And then she just flies off the rails. She was like,
Mm.
well, Madeline and I like look the most similar together. I'm like, not really.
No, not at
No,
all.
I mean, like, you look more similar to Lauren than
You're
like
both
Madeline.
blonde.
That's the only thing is like they're just blonde, and then that's it. And she just like she can't get over it, and then she just go like, and Colby gets up and leaves, and so she goes up and conveniently enough, I feel like because like the producers are like, oh shit, they had a bit of beef last night. Let's put Hunter and Madeline
Mm.
together. So like they both like she gets up, she's like, I see you, you're great, and I just don't get why you're with him. You know, he's such a jerk. He whatever." And I'm like, "Whoa."
Mm.
And then we cut to fucking Colby crying about over Madeline. I'm like, "Then why did you set up with this whole thing, you know?" Like he's upset cuz he goes like, you know, like she's like the perfect girl to me, and seeing her like over there with the other guy is like so weird. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, damn, damn.
Like, fuck you, no sympathy.
I don't really have sympathy for a lot of these people. I do have sympathy for Lauren and stuff like that. And it's just this whole thing becomes like this huge mess. But a lot of it in the later episodes I find is like a boring mess because you get these people meeting the families and like meeting the friends in the later episode, and it's just like, what do you expect? You know?
Yeah, well, they don't let the families fly off the handle like they used to in
Mm-mm.
like old school like
Mm-hmm.
reality shows. So it's like everyone goes to meet the family and the family loves them. Like,
Yeah.
end of story. There's
Yeah.
no dramatic stakes for pretty much like most of the episodes. Like out of like everything after episode 3 to episode 8, I think is like mostly there's like probably 12 minutes or 20 minutes of like actual like shit that's interesting in
Yeah.
those like interim episodes. And so
Yeah.
much of it is just them like staging them at like, okay, they're like at their apartment and okay, you want to sit on the bed and like argue. And obviously they wanted to argue and shit like that, but the one that really broke the mold for me of like the sit around argue conversations was uh Randall and Shanique, and
Mm.
they were trying to talk and you could hear the dog squeaking a toy during the conversation. They were like having a super serious conversation and be like, yeah, well, like I like feel this way, but like I gotta feel this way too, and like and stuff. And then you hear like meep like in the background, and
I feel like
then you could start to see though in the cuts, it was like Randall was like holding onto a dog toy and the dog was like biting on it, and then it would cut to like the single cam of Shanique and the dog's on the bed, and then it would cut to the wide and the dog's on the bed in a different spot, and it like cut around a bunch till eventually it got down to the dog was just sitting by Shanique. They were like, the dog cannot keep fucking around. But it was super funny. I was like, that really like ruined some of the magic of this scene for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And going back, and we still have these dates, and it's just like the way they have it edited, like it just they make Nate seem like a psychopath. Is he a psychopath?
Mm.
I don't know, but I said he's like a mix of like a Bateman wannabe and a pick me boy who just wants like a mommy wife. And I felt like he connected really well with April because April just wants kids. She wants it so badly.
Mm. They should have
And
ran off together.
they should have. And I thought they
Yeah.
were going to like go together, but we'll see that that's not going to happen. And it's like I feel like he would have like weaponized incompetence. That's like a
Mm.
big term that's being like thrown around today, and for kind of like good reason, because I feel like he would do like try to help around but do it badly on purpose, so she would fix it and like just not ask him to do it again. Also, like, anyways. And we still, looking at my notes, it's just dates, still like repetition of like before. Like, Lauren, you're like kind of like jumping from the frying pan that is Nate
Mm.
into the fire with Colby, because I feel like Lauren still doesn't want to have kids, And I feel like once if she gets in a relationship with Kobe or chooses Kobe, I feel, like gonna end up pregnant or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're kind of like getting into like the next night. They're all connecting, they're still chatting and stuff like that. They're chatting about who they like, and everyone just gets mad. Almost everyone except for Hunter. Hunter's just like standing there. He's just like, whatever. But people are crying because like, oh, we're gonna break up, we're gonna choose someone else, meh, 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 meh. And then, I mean, now everyone's gonna like butthurt and jealous because like they're talking about their partner in a certain way. And then you have like Jake and April, they go off and they have like this fight, and he's being like super aggravated towards her. And I feel like Jake is like the sort of guy who like kind of he's projecting and being a jerk, so it might be easier for her if he breaks up with her, or trying to be a jerk, so it's just like she's gonna break up with me because I'm acting this way. And then April runs off, she's crying, and then we get like this really sweet moment between April and Hunter. And I feel like this is why he's such a, I think, a good pick for Alexis, because I feel like he's just an emotional teddy bear. Not that
Yeah,
he's emotional.
he knew how to shut the situation down appropriately
Yeah.
and like pump her up and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyways, it's just like a whirlwind of emotions this first like couple like episodes, and you do get like that sort of emotional overdrive in like the later episodes, but it's just like them just talking. Like you do get like these emotions, but you do in these episodes it's like more exciting and on the point. It's just like bang 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 bang, like this person's emotional, no, this person's emotional, this person's feeling this way. And then like the later episodes you get like these like little interconnecting between like dates and stuff like that, and then them just like going out for coffee, or they're meeting their friends, and then
Yeah. Here's my
anyways,
stepdad.
here's my stepdad, here's my mom, here's my friends from college, all that sort of deal. So and then we get sort of like this weird night where Nick Lachey and his wife is there, and they're just like, who are you guys gonna pick? Like, I don't think it's like the actual choosing ceremony. I feel like it's just like a night of being like, what are everyone's impressions? Who are they gonna pick? So first we get the first pick, which is Shanique and Zay, and I don't think that's like a big surprise. I feel like they sort of connected more, that sort of things. And Nate was like, damn, who am I gonna pick? And he keeps picking like trying to pick all these people, and they say like, oh no, I'm gonna choose this other person, all this stuff. And he's like, oh fuck. Because I feel like he thinks no one's gonna pick him. The next one you get Ray and Jake. It's kind of obvious, they're connecting more. And then you get Madeline and Randall. And you have this moment where Jake is like, hey Madeline, yeah, I'm gonna pick you. Come on. Psst, come on. It's like that annoying kid in like your high school like class. You're just trying to like get like, come on, be my partner. Psst, psst, come on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like, no, man.
It's got
So
that energy.
yeah. And then Alexis, because like April was like, I'm like, I don't know, like either I'm going to choose Hunter or I'm going to choose Nate and all this stuff. And like Hunter just like looks like, what? And then you look at Alexis, and Alexis is fucking fuming. And she just stands up at the table. She's like, yeah, like, I don't know why. Like, I feel like I see my soulmate over there. And he's just like, you know, sorry, just Siri popped up. No,
Not the
I said
time, Siri.
soulmate, not Siri. Jesus. Anyways, and she's just like, I don't like my soulmate's over there, whatever. Like, it's so hard for me to say, yeah, you know, good for you, blah 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 blah. And she's like, just stands up, and then it's just like crazy because it turns to Hunter. And it's like, Hunter, who are you gonna choose? And then April looked so sure that she was gonna get picked by Hunter, but nope. He
I
gets up and
thought
he goes
she
like,
was too.
I think I'm gonna marry Alexis. And everyone's like, what? And then it goes like, so it just goes. He gets on one knee, he proposes to Alexis, and of course she says yes, because she's
Which
just
was
been
crazy. I was not expecting that shit
no.
at all. Like,
And
especially so
then
early in something to its
I know.
concept. I was like, what the
I
fuck?
know. I know. Either he's like came to a realization that he was just comfortable with Alexis, or the producers are like, do it, do it. They're like, they have like a pair of scissors. I'm like, do it in order to spice things up. So I don't know. And then what you have is the next big bombshell, which kind of goes into like episode 3, because we are just like, we get like this thing. She says yes, everyone's happy for her, but then you have Nate get up, drop to one knee, and propose to Lauren. Which
The way he does it too, he's just like, "Oh, I don't want to steal anyone's thunder." Doop 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 doop. Like, goes on
no,
over. It's
man,
like,
it's it's crazy because, and then she says yes,
hmm.
which is crazy
I was
because I
surprised she said yes.
I was surprised too. I thought she was gonna be like, listen, like, I love you, but we still have this whole other set of
Well,
issues that we gotta
well,
work
we
out.
do. Well, we do get the like hotel cam of
We
them
do.
afterwards, which is kind of that.
It is. They sort of talk about it, but it's just like, and then everyone's just like, wait, did you just propose because Nate proposed? Did you just whatever? And like April like has like a point where she's just like, you know, everyone is fucking like, you just did it because Hunter did it. Like, he feels like he sort of just stole
Yeah,
their spotlight and all that stuff. And she's like,
yeah.
yeah, well, like when we're talking, like he was looking at my tits the whole time, whatever, blah 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 blah. Blah.
Mhm.
Anyways, and it just feels like, I was surprised. I'm like, but I think that Lauren said yes, but maybe the producers had Lauren's family like locked away. So it kind of forced her to say yes, because like no one was gonna choose Nate.
Mhm.
So it just feels like maybe that's why. So now we have 4 couples instead of 6 paired off. So once these couples are paired off, the couples are April and Colby, Zay and Zay and Shanique, and then we have Ray and Jake and Madeline and Randall. So those are her separate couples. And I'm just wondering, who do we think are gonna have sex first? Who do we think are gonna,
I mean,
so far?
my
So far my
well,
money is
what
on
was
Ray and
yours?
Jake.
Mine, yes, definitely. It was like them and Randall and what's
Madeline.
her nuts, Madeline. It was like those two couples. I was like, those two. I'm not surprised about anything they do. I
Yeah.
was the kind of thing. I was like, whatever they do, I'm not going to be surprised.
Yeah.
So it's both of those couples, but I probably would have put it more into the first one that you said, not Madeline and Jake, the other one, the other two.
Yeah. So instead of like going into like complete like episode breakdowns, because like we've done a lot of like talk about it, because we've had like a lot of like information sort of like pushed upon this for like the first like 3 episodes. So instead of going each episode down breakdown, I might do that if I do a podcast surrounding it. This is just us sort of just talking about what we've watched. Um, so kind of like throughout their sort of like 3 week trial period of being quote unquote married to their selected partner. Um, we get a lot of people meeting the other person's parents. We get a lot of them sort of going out on little dates. We get them a lot of like fighting in bed. But we also get like a lot of just like we do get a episode where we see Alexis on her bachelorette because she's getting married. Oh my god. Good for her.
Which I was surprised to see that she came back so quickly. I was like, we're not going to see her until the reunion episode, but the fact that she came back so quickly for the bachelorette with everybody.
Yeah.
But
And
I think yeah, up to that point, as you were saying, it was sort of a lot of just like, oh, they went and met their family. There was no problem. No one got into a fight. The person who was introduced to the family was like, yeah, this seems like a family I would want to be a part of. Like it's a lot of
yeah.
pretty dry stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and like a lot of it could just seems like because you have like Ray's dad who's like a race car driver, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Just being like, yeah, I like Jake. I think he's a good fit for you.
Yeah, and
And then
again,
you
like
have
part of the like, oh, they have a bunch of money. He's able to like afford to be a race car driver. It's expensive.
yeah. And then you have like because the first makeout we see between is like Ray and Jake. That's on camera. I don't know what
Hmm.
happens behind camera. We do get some like information about what happens behind the camera sort of said by the contestants, which we'll get into, but it just seems like a lot of these people are like just sort of going through emotions. Like a lot of people like say Madeline's friends like um Randall a lot more than they like Colby. Because they're just like Colby's, yeah, he's fine. He's loud and stuff like that. But like Randall is like he's hot. He kind of goes with emotions and stuff like that. And it's just and apparently like I guess Madeline's fucking friend hooked up with I guess Kobe. I don't know, maybe this was like a before thing. Before he got introduced, and she's like, I don't really remember much of that night. So, okay, fucking
Mm.
dragging Colby, but yeah, it's just a lot of like we see like Zay meeting Shanique's family. What they look like a nice family. Her mom was just like, yeah, like
Her
if
mom
you're
looks like she could be her sister for fuck's sakes as well. By the way, just
and her dad looks like
her dad. When it showed when her dad was talking, and then it was like Shanique's dad. I was like, you mean that's not her brother? It's like
yeah,
holy fuck, they look
it's
super young.
they do. They look super young and they look great. And I feel like they have like a nice healthy family dynamic. Because like her mom's like, if you're not gonna accept my daughter, like you like they liked Zay. They
Mm,
did like him a lot and they're just like, you look like who's and they sort of help him, not really help him, but they sort of like kind of bring Zay out of his shell and sort of like say what kind of is holding him back, what might be like he's dealing with a lot of like past family trauma, and that
mm.
he does express that he's not really in his family's life. They're not in his and stuff like that. And, you know, his mom is like, well, if they're not in your life, then they're missing out. And I feel like I feel like Shanique's mom is like seems like a lovely woman. And she looks like such a nice person and
Mm.
a nice, healthy family dynamic. Um, that, you know, if it's nice, you know, you get to see a person really come out of themselves like emotionally and get to be vulnerable, and I find like that's nice and stuff like that. It was a nice moment. And then, you know, it just seems that like a lot of these times, like these people up into like before like girls night or the boys night shit, they're like in a honeymoon situation. So, and then we get girls night, boys night, you know, that sort of shit. A lot of like the shit that comes into the show is like the sort of like drama comes from people being intoxicated.
Yeah, all of it I think comes from being intoxicated. That's what I was saying before, where you just see the open bottles of liquor in
Yeah.
their bedroom with
Yeah.
the gummies and stuff, or like times where it's like someone just talking to the camera and then they're standing in the kitchen, but then there's like a bottle of like cranberry juice and like cut limes and all this other
Mhm.
shit, because the first few episodes they're sort of in this hotel experience where there is a bartender and things like that, and then after that they're all on their own and they're still drinking a shitload, but they're not always
Yeah.
making mixed drinks and shit.
Yeah, it's just, and it starts off like girls' night. They're like, "Oh yeah, let's girls' night, whatever, woo!" And then they get into talking about it. Everyone gets mad. Like the girls
Yeah.
talk about like there's like making like because this is when they bring up like the behind the scenes issues. Like you have like Madeline being like, "Oh yeah, like Randall and I like we cuddled and I felt he had a boner." And then we kissed off camera and stuff like that. And then Shanique was mad. But then a part of me was just like, I get you're mad, but you kind of put yourself in this situation where you're in a
Yeah.
reality show where you're kind of like either you're both issuing an ultimatum, but you're also separated from yourself and all that
Mm.
stuff. And that comes up again like later where she goes out with Randall and she's just like she gets mad and she walks off and like Randall is like, "Well, what did you expect?" Like, you know, it's it's a weird situation. And then we get into then it cuts to like boys' night and they're just guys being dudes.
They get into a fight too,
They do.
because Colby's like saying to Zay, he's just like, "Oh yeah, you told that girl to come over and kiss me," and he's just like, "No, I didn't. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Don't drag me into your shit." So they get into a whole thing, and that was like, it was like hearing all of this stuff was where I started to realize, I was like, "Oh, we're really not. They're not filming them like as much as I would have expected them to."
Yeah,
And there's a lot of
because
stuff that's like off camera that's happening and kind of comes into play.
yeah. So this is like the very first season. So I haven't seen the second season yet. It may be different. Like technically it might be different. They might be like keep cameras on them the whole time. Like we see that they do have cameras set up like in the hotel,
Mm,
in their houses and stuff like that. But what we see is like a lot of like drama does come from off camera.
yeah.
Um but yeah, like Zay's getting mad that like Kobe, and I feel like I don't know what happened. It's like one word versus the other, but anyways. So and then Zay walks out like he always does. We see that a lot. He does walk away.
He does do that a lot, yeah.
And then we see like another layer comes from April, because I think this is when we really learn that she has like fertility issues, because she says like, yeah, um Jake and I always like don't use protection,
Mm.
like at all. Like he never pulls out, he doesn't wear condoms, I'm not on birth control. And then it's just like, my problems is like, what comes with this is like, I think, sure, doing it raw, I don't know, might have some appeal, but like, no birth control whatsoever. And then you see like Madeline's face being like, absolutely, what the fuck is happening?
Mm.
It's, it is crazy to think that,
Yeah,
like, yeah,
it is weird because it's almost like he's just putting faith in her infertility because he doesn't want to be with
yeah,
her. As
no,
he expresses through these episodes, Jake
N-
does not want to be with April. He says to Ray, the one that he's with, he's like, I want to end up with you at the end. And I was like, oh shit. Like
yeah,
that was one of
because
the big oh shit like kind of moments where it's like, oh, this is somebody who's really bucking the trend here and like going the other way.
and I feel like you would think, I don't know, you would think a man who doesn't like commitment would want to just use all the protection that you can.
Yeah.
But there we go. Um Also like, so you have like Zay and Jake, they talk and stuff like that. And again, like a lot of these episodes, it's just they just talk. They talk
Yeah.
about what happens and
Th-
stuff like
They
that.
talk and they talk with limited vocabulary.
They do, and they're saying the same thing over and over and over again. And you do get that. I find you do get that a lot in reality TV. It's
Mm,
unscripted. You do get. I feel like the producers do prompt them. Their reality TV. It's not that realistic. It's heavily
mm,
produced, but in the sort of sense of like scripts, I don't really think there's much besides
no.
what the host might say. So what you do get is like a lot of things that people's already said. So you do get like a lot of like, we already talked about this, blah 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 blah. And then it's just like, after that night, like it seems like a lot of tempers just fucking fly, like they always do. And then you get fights, like one moment where Shanique and Zay fight. Um, you know, they she's just like, I that's what I kinda like about Shanique. She kinda stands up for herself, you know?
Oh,
She's
she
like,
does, yeah.
she like Zay is like raising her voice. She's like, like I feel uncomfortable. This is an uncomfortable situation, whatever. Like, of course I'm gonna be making faces, and Zay just kind of raises his voice. She's like, you don't raise your voice at me, whatever. And then he leaves for like one of the many times he does. Josh, you look absolutely zooted.
No, I'm listening to you. I'm here. I'm just like absolutely zooted. No, I'm just listening to you. It's just like I don't know what else to say about this at this time. Like I know I mean, their stuff, it's crazy to think about the things they were upset about as we were fed them during the main episodes because as we learned in the end, they were probably the only couple that fucked.
Yeah, yeah, but
Like of the couples like involved, so it was like weird the way they were like piecing it out to us of Zay like sleeping on the couch, like
and then he
they
moves
kind of
to,
like edited, well they edited it to make them seem like the not sexual ones even though they kind of showed that scene of them like talking about it, but it wasn't
Mhm.
until later that they fully admitted that it was like, yeah, they clearly like went back and fucked and like thought everyone else was fucking,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
yeah. and if some of them went all the way, or if anything, like stuff like that, like, and then you have like, it's like this weird situation because you do have like some people like when Kobe did sleep with April and all that sort of deal, like he went and slept with April, and I was like, wow, that's weird. Like, did he have like a lapse in obsession with Madeline? And it's just like you have like
When you
all
say
these like,
sleep, do you mean like actual sex? I thought they
yeah,
just like slept in the same bed together.
they did make out on the bed. I think it was heavily implied that they did sleep together.
Oh, I guess so. I just felt all the like, because all the making out that came from from most of the couples, except for like a couple early ones. There's like one episode, and it's like the last episode everyone's together, and that's when they make like all of them kiss. And I kind
Yeah,
of felt like that was like something they planned, so I wasn't totally sure. But again, this
yeah.
comes into my like not able to track it, where I'm like, oh shit, they're talking about stuff that happened off camera. I don't know. Like maybe everybody did sleep together. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think because like maybe like a lot of it, like this show, it's like a lot of tell versus what they
Mm,
show us. Like
yeah.
they do show us a lot, but they also like they don't explicitly show us what happens.
Mm.
We we just get a lot of tell versus show. So it's just like,
And a lot of dog reactions, which I loved. Just
yeah, a
they
lot
would
of
like
dog
cut. They
reactions.
would
Yeah.
cut over to like someone's dog, just like.
Yeah. So this this like this whole like episode with like us going through this reality TV show, it's just like a lot of us like expressing our feelings instead of going through like episode, because I feel like unless like we actually sit down and go like this and this and this, and it's just a lot of us talking, like this person talked and then this person talked, and like
Yeah.
and I feel like they do cut a lot of between like different, like, because you have like the first introductions and then just cuts. We don't get like that full introductions or that full like morning afters with like every single
Mm.
couple, because it's just gonna be them being like, oh, we're so awkward, meh, 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 meh. It's just gonna be a whole lot of the same thing. um and we do get outbursts, but in the whole scale of like reality TV outbursts, they're not big.
Not really. No, they're big in the
No,
scale of this show, but even then, like not completely. Like
no, like
there's a lot of waiting.
you don't see like fucking reality, like the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and they're flipping tables and they're fucking
Yeah.
yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Meh, 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 meh. Like, no, you don't get
I think
that.
the biggest outburst we got was that after they do the sort of trial, you swap partners, you go back to your original partners for 3 weeks.
Mhm.
One of the bigger ones we saw there was when April found the video on Jake's phone of
Yeah,
a Ray like twerking, and she like demonstrated it where she like got up on the chair, because they do these like little uh, uh not confessionals, but like, single camera like thing with them in a room with mirrors. And
yeah,
she
yeah,
got up on
yeah,
the chair and did the dance, and it was fucking hilarious seeing them actually have the real video in the final reunion episode, where they
yeah,
played the real video that Buddy had on his phone along with her like doing that. That's like as crazy as it got in terms of
yeah,
what I expect from a reality TV show. But there
yeah.
was a lot like emotionally that happened along the way. Like I wasn't always certain someone was going to kiss somebody like early
Hmm.
on, kind of things like that.
Yeah. And then we get like, say, let's just go right into the end here, because it's just a lot
Yeah,
of
let's do it.
people being like, you slept with this person, you have a couple walkouts, you have like people being like, I don't know if I feel this way. So let's just go
Mm.
straight into the ultimatum day. So what we have is like, um like we have Randall, sorry, Randall, Randall and Shanique. They're the first couples that we see. They step up. They're like they have this emotional moment, feeling like this sort of whole thing. So they taught me a lot. They end up engaged. I'm not really surprised. And then you have April and Jake. They're sitting on a bench next to a horse stable. The weirdest fucking locations.
Yeah. With the
Anyways,
horses still like neighing at them and shit, which is pretty
like,
funny.
yeah. And it's no surprise Jake was like, you know, even if I'm not running off with Ray, it's still gonna be a no. And it's just, it's obvious. And then it goes to Ray and Zay. You know, beforehand, Ray was like, I'm not sure if I want to get engaged. And Zay walks off like he always does. And it's just like, and then you have like this moment of Jake and Ray. There he goes like, I have, and I probably was like, does he have a fucking ring? But no, he pulls out 2 tickets for anywhere in the world, and she's like, yes, I will go with you. And that's it. And like I think
which was funny because he had the whole like breakup experience with April, in of which he said, "I'm not running away with with
with
Ray."
Ray, and then he ends up running away with Ray.
And then literally immediately like after that, and it's a funny thing about the editing of the show, because they never change the tone of the music or anything.
No.
No one's ever the bad guy. Everyone's the good guy.
Yeah.
So it's right in that same thing. It's like, even though he said, "I'm not running away," and she had to walk off, they go do this, and then it's like, oh, they're skipping through like a hollow wood.
Yeah, and like a lot of it is also like the length of time they have April walking down a cobble like gravel path
Oh my god, and those
and
huge
those
ass
wedges.
flats. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the wedges. Oh god, I was like, you could see her like ankles go like this a couple times. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that poor girl. No, please, somebody come and like help her out.
Yeah, someone come in with a golf cart and just pick her up,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. Um and then we have, which I think is like the craziest moment, is like for myself, it's like Madeline and Colby. So Colby proposes. She says yes, which is
But something that we should talk about is the fact that Colby was the only one who went outside of people that were, because they were
that
kind of
is
given, it seemed that everyone was given free time to go out to clubs, and they interacted with each other or interacted with other people, and we weren't really ever told about this except what they told us. But he clearly like kissed somebody out there,
yeah.
went back to somebody's room at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
Like, we're never
it's
really totally given the full thing, but he probably like fucked somebody.
he probably did. It's like we've seen, it's completely different what we see on screen versus off screen. So we have like
Mm.
on screen the first couple episodes, I'm like, damn, Colby is obsessed with Madeline. Like he loves this girl. Like he's not gonna stray. And then off screen he goes off and does this.
Mm.
So it's I don't understand. And then he comes back and he just, you know, proposes to her, gets married 5 seconds afterwards. He goes like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
was surprised." It's like a justice of the peace comes in, and then they get
While you're
married.
in this fucking like Marshall's like fucking sundress, want to get
Yeah,
married.
yeah, and then that's it
That's
until
pretty
like
much it. Because yeah, in the episode where they're doing the only two people that, well, only few people that aren't, are Zay
in April.
And April are the only two people that aren't in that, because they swapped. But yeah, it was funny that like April gets her whole moment of being said no. When they cut to Zay, it's just like him like pushing a like wheelie bag through like an
Very,
apartment.
very sadly. It's just like he's just like pushing
It's
it.
pretty hilarious. Yeah. Just
It's
like
just
put
like
he's not even dragging it like the way you drag it through an airport, just like pushing it on all four wheels around and just like
mm,
locking up a door and shit. Yeah.
yeah. It's and
But it makes sense. He was the most immature because when we get into the reunion episode, he
yeah.
still is this. He's the one who walks away.
He does. He does it
Um.
again.
So.
And which, from underlying trauma, which she expressed during that family dinner scene with Shanique, and it's understandable, you don't want to express those feelings that you've had.
Yeah.
If he sees it easier to walk away, is it healthy? No.
Mm.
But it's just
And he latched onto it really quickly too, because that was where he was like, "Oh, this seems like a family I'd want to be a part of." Like he
mhm,
just like got sucked into the family shit real quick and easy.
yeah. Because yeah, and to see like that openness in a family that accepts you right off, it's hard not to latch onto it. So yeah, and then we do get like a reunion episode. I think the biggest difference we notice is with like physically is with Colby and Madeline. She's pregnant, like
Yeah.
7 months pregnant.
Madeline's pregnant. April is dating a guy who does not show up in this, but she says he's an older guy, and I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And um Jake is single.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ray
Um
had been dating a woman, but she
mhm.
wasn't sure how it was going.
Yeah.
Was kind of some of the like the major things, and she expressed like, yeah, being uncomfortable with being bisexual, or I should say how other people made her uncomfortable with being bisexual. So that was kind of a
Mhm.
final revelation kind of thing. But and it's weird, yeah, because it's like the first three episodes and the last two really fall into the format and
Mhm.
formula of what you expect from reality TV, from at least for myself, being someone who remembers it from a million years ago and being old.
Yeah.
But to see what they did with this now, I don't really know if I did care for all the stuff in between, but it did
No.
hit a few. It hit a few high notes when they were like looking through each other's phones and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's like, I love the trashiness of like, oh, they're looking through each other's
Yeah,
phones, finding
like
these
I feel like
videos.
we all like
But they,
connect. Yeah. Sorry not to keep talking over you, but
no, 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 you go
I,
ahead. You got it.
I feel like to relate, like when we watch reality TV shows, we love the messiness or like the other because like say like versus this and the Kardashians, like it may not be completely messy all the time, but I get to watch their lives as billionaires.
Mm,
I get to see their beautiful homes. I get to see like their beautiful lives and stuff like that. And for a moment, I'm sort of transported there. And with this, these are just normal people. And I feel like a lot of people will watch, say, like this and like 90 Day Fiance, 90 Day Fiance more so because like
mm,
all these people are in like these weird relationships. There's like a weirdness to it that kind of keeps us sort of in tune versus that of just watching like continuous,
yeah.
relationship
When
issues. Like, yeah.
and 90 Day Fiance is even stranger
Mm,
than this. Like it's even more of a circus sideshow. Whereas this, I was expecting the circus sideshow and really got something that is trying to be, I think, show some sort of normal people
mm-hmm.
side of things. Like it's
Yeah.
almost like in vogue and weirder to be normal with
Yeah.
reality shows now, and that's maybe what is kind of like hit it, because the like critic reviews are like off the charts for this show, and it's already spawned a queer version and a season 2 and probably some
Yeah.
other things. Like it really exploded, and I can get how with certain people it would, or people that are
Hmm.
iPad kids, like in the way they've been exposed to things, to see something that like maybe tones it down a bit might be exciting to them, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
No. Yeah, it's definitely it's because like what we see is sort of kind of what we acknowledge with this whole like group of people. Like, you know, they're living their lives as engaged or single people. And that's like everyone, people that we do know, like we know engaged people, we know like single people, we know people who are becoming parents, we know all this stuff. So it's like really like nothing new. So
Yeah. And
versus,
even the messes that they got into were not new, of like
no,
somebody claiming, like Colby being like, oh, we're actually a open relationship, because he was paired with April, who was clearly never going to put out. They both were like the two that weren't going to put out with each other, and he was like, well, I'm going to go find it somewhere else because
yeah,
I assume she's doing that. And so it's
yeah,
yeah, even their problems don't escalate to a point of fantasy. It's always like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I got friends with these problems.
Yeah. Versus that of like 90 Day Fiance, you know? You have like these like people who are, you know, in relationships with someone, say like in fucking Russia, India,
Mm,
China, all these different locations, and we don't necessarily understand that. And then sometimes we get like these weird like messes with people. We get like these oddball couples where you have like a much older person going for a much younger person. And we're just like, oh man, look at these people, like almost like a sideshow sort of deal.
yeah.
And like the reason why I chose this like this sort of series is just like it's a weird series. It's a weird like, and its whole concept, it's weird.
Mm,
And the first season is tamer compared to like more extreme reality TV shows, because I feel like with the most the extremer it is, the more in depth you have to go,
yeah.
and the more breakdowns you have to have of the episodes. Well, with this one, I just sometimes just skip a couple scenes and I know it's still know what's happening. Like this person's mad, this person's sad, blah 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 blah.
Meanwhile, I'm like watching the whole thing. I'm like, God, if I skip, there could be like a sentence she brings up, and I'm not gonna know what she's talking about. That's fucking funny.
No, but yeah, it is, you know, like when I watch reality TV shows, it's also like sometimes I can put them on in the background and
Mm.
it could be like little dribbles like droning on with something, and then as soon as I hear like someone yelling, I'm like stopping what I'm doing and I'm watching what's happening.
Yeah, snap in, yeah.
Snap in. And I feel like a lot of people who do watch reality TV shows will have like that same thing where they
Mm.
just like they focus on the most crazy aspects of it, and it is like that sort of break of reality with reality. So, well,
No,
reality.
I admittedly even did the same thing. That there was times where it's like, okay, I've got it, and I'd be like starting to do something, and then like I was like, oh wait, oh nope, and I'll be like rewinding to like see
Yeah,
where
yeah,
the
yeah.
start of the fight happened. Yeah, so like with this one, that's what it was. But yeah, it is funny. It's the way that this show carried itself was almost in service to that, because
Yeah.
there's so much that is kind of like low energy and
Mm-hmm.
waiting to kind of spring on you.
Yeah, it's, you know, having, say like versus like 90 Day Fiance, because keep bringing it up, like versus like this, like in the Ultimatum, like yeah, I like this person you're with now, they're nice and stuff like this, and then versus that of 90 Day Fiance, this person's like 25 years younger than you, from the Philippines, they want your money, they want this, they
Yeah.
want that, and you have like these huge like family fights, and it's like almost like, you know, if you see that in a family, you're just like, wow, you're just like, you see that as a viewer and you're like,
Yeah.
completely, entrapped in it. So
Yeah, it's the listening in on your neighbors effect
it is.
of the other ones, whereas
Yeah.
this one, it's like, it's too real. We've
Yeah. Yeah.
already been there.
Yeah. Anyways, that was the Ultimatum season 1. Last thoughts? What do you think?
I was pretty fascinated by it as somebody who, like I said, I haven't like consciously watched reality TV since like Flavor of Love, where
Mhm.
people were like shitting on each other's floors and spitting in each other's mouths
Yeah, yeah.
to like get a chance to fake marry Flava Flav.
Yeah.
So it was a really oh, 1 second, my phone. I'm getting a call on my phone, so I can't hear what I'm doing. I just need to find my phone real quick.
Yeah. But like this is like I feel like the tamest that we could have gotten. And like I said, like we've had like the very first half of this episode where I go so in depth of
Okay.
what's happening, but like after that you're just like this is like a sort of like season or series where you can watch like the first 2 episodes and you get the gist of it. And then you can watch like the last episode and be like, okay, this is what happened. This is what blah 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 blah. And this is like personally, this is like an episode like series that I can put on, do my laundry, and then you know just tune in once the stuff gets good. So yeah.
There we go. Okay. There was like music playing in the background. And I was like trying to. So first, I got a phone call from like a telemarketer, and I didn't know where my phone was. It had fallen on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and then that somehow had activated music to play on iTunes. So there was just like music playing that I couldn't figure out what
Oh my
device it
god.
was coming from. Um. So yes, sorry. Continue. I'm back now.
No, that was
I can
it.
hear what's happening. Okay,
So
you missed all of that. So
all right.
I'm glad.
So
Don't worry. Don't worry. You don't have to repeat it. There's just going to be a video of me searching around for
yeah,
like
yeah,
an insanity device in the background, but that's fun.
yeah. So now saying this is like an early concept of what I kind of want to do with a podcast through Crow. I'm still getting at the nitty gritty. Do I want to have like long episodes where I go through each and single episode? Maybe not. Do I do like an episode like for a season? This seems to be like good enough where I can do like a 2 hour episode going through the season, like the major parts. But then again, this is like a 10 episode season versus
Mm.
that of like a 25 episode of like 90 Day Fiance. And there's so much more stuff happening. So I'm still trying to get the nitty gritty of it all. And yeah.
Still, great trial period. Always fun to try it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be involved in stuff in the future
Yeah.
because I love getting to check out like reality TV shit. So
Yeah. I mean, off the bat, like, this is like just like trial episode. Like, are people gonna listen to it? This is kind of what we're going to see. Is it gonna make sense to people who are really into these reality TV shows? Are they just gonna listen to us drabble on and stuff like that? It's just like this. It's like a filler episode because Nathan isn't here. He isn't here for us to keep on track and all this stuff. So it's just like it's just us trying to figure out stuff. And if people like this, then I will continue to either do a spin-off series of me and Josh or myself and someone else going through different reality TV shows. Sure, but if people hate this episode, then absolutely fucking not. I'm not putting myself out there for that. for that hatred.
That
All right.
hatred. Cool.
So
All right.
yeah, this is it. I don't think I'm gonna say much about it because we just spent 2 hours going over like some of the bits that happened of this TV show.
Awesome. All right.
All right. We next release is the what are we releasing next? Next episode of the video cult
Siege? Is
Siege.
it Siege?
I think
Pretty
so.
sure it's Siege.
It is Siege.
I think so. All
Maybe.
right. I
Yeah.
hope so.
I
If it's not, people are going to get a really fun surprise.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, this is it. Goodbye, cultists. I hope you like it. Who knows? Who knows?
Oh,
All
stop
right.
making excuse for these fucking psychopaths. They liked it. They ate it all up.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Goodbye, cultists. We'll see you in the next episode with Nathan. But just know Nathan's probably on an island somewhere, just
It's true.
hunting humans for sport. So, goodbye.